Section 4.5 Conclusion. I recognize that a considerable amount of material has been presented thus far, and I aim to distill these ideas into a cohesive and comprehensible framework. The emphasis placed on the concept of spirit in this discussion is intentional, as this volume seeks to explore the nature of spiritual beings, a topic that defies simple definitions. The term spirit is fraught with interpretive challenges. If understood too literally as merely the workings of the mind, its transcendence is diminished. Conversely, if it is seen solely as a paranormal or mystical force, it risks becoming inaccessible or fantastical. To navigate this complexity, we must first address the limitations inherent in an overly literal perspective. One significant concern with interpreting spirit in excessively literal terms is the way it can absolve individuals of personal responsibility, especially when considering demonic influence. The common phrase, "the devil made me do it," exemplifies this tendency, as it shifts blame for one's actions onto an external, malevolent force. This mindset perpetuates a false dichotomy, reducing people to helpless victims while obscuring the undeniable role of individual agency in shaping behavior. Such an approach not only trivializes moral accountability, but also undermines the seriousness of human complicity in evil. Moreover, those who interpret spiritual beings, such as demons, angels, and even Satan, overly literally often struggle to convey these ideas to others in a coherent and meaningful way. Modern Western Christians, for instance, frequently lack a nuanced understanding of the nature of these entities and the concept of spirit itself. This deficit can lead to overly spiritualized or fantastical explanations of world events, where invisible beings, imagined as winged angels or horned demons, are seen as the primary agents manipulating human actions. Such depictions, while evocative, often fail to engage critically with the complexities of human decision-making and cultural influences. Another troubling trend is the overuse of the term demonic in contemporary Christian discourse. While it may be valid to describe the corrupting influence of ideologies as demonic, the term is often wielded more simplistically, applied to anything disliked or misunderstood. This reductionist approach fosters a culture of dehumanization, where those with differing views are vilified as puppets of evil. Such demonization eliminates the possibility of dialogue or mutual understanding, framing disagreements as cosmic battles between good and evil, with no room for the nuance that characterizes genuine human interaction. On the other hand, an excessively figurative interpretation of spirit introduces its own set of challenges. While a literal perspective risks oversimplification, a purely symbolic approach can descend into excessive abstraction and over-analysis. The search for hidden meanings in every facet of spiritual discourse can lead to unnecessary complexity and, ultimately, confusion. For instance, while exploring the biological mechanisms of hunger or the neurological effects of caffeine can be fascinating, these explanations are not always necessary to grasp the basic concepts of hunger or fatigue. Similarly, over-analyzing spiritual concepts can obscure their essential truths, making them inaccessible or irrelevant to practical life. This brings us to the question, what are we to make of the Holy Spirit? In its most literal sense, the Holy Spirit is understood as an active, guiding presence, providing comfort, empowerment, and a sense of divine partnership in life's journey. This interpretation offers a deep and intimate connection to God's transformative work in the world. However, an overly literalistic approach may lead to problematic spiritual practices, such as an obsessive tendency to interpret every subjective experience as a direct divine message. This can verge on paranoia, creating a dissonance between the complexities of daily life and the expectation of miraculous signs or audible divine communication. Conversely, viewing the Holy Spirit purely as a metaphor for inspiration, wisdom, and moral conscience emphasizes self-reflection and spiritual growth. While this approach fosters autonomy and responsibility in moral decision-making, it risks placing the individual in the role of ultimate authority, conflating personal desires with divine will. This reduction of the spirit to a projection of human thought diminishes its transcendence and the relational aspect of divine guidance. A balanced understanding of the Holy Spirit recognizes it as both a literal, active presence and a symbolic representation of God's transformative power. It serves as an intimate companion that guides the Spirit God has breathed into humanity, and as a reminder of divine wisdom and moral alignment. This dual perspective preserves the mystery and dynamism of the Spirit while fostering a framework that avoids the extremes of rigid literalism or reductive symbolism. It affirms the living relationship between God and humanity, a relationship that transcends simplistic categories. Finally, it is important to avoid the pitfalls of reducing all spiritual phenomena to psychological explanations or overburdening spiritual inquiry with excessive scientific or symbolic analysis. Modern psychology and neuroscience, while valuable, are far from uncovering the full complexities of the human mind and its metaphysical dimensions. To claim that these fields hold all the answers to life's spiritual mysteries is both premature and naive. Humility is essential in acknowledging that much about life, and spirit, remains shrouded in mystery. To illustrate, consider the power of timeless narratives such as St. George and the Dragon, Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader, or Aragorn's struggle against Sauron. These stories symbolize the eternal battle between good and evil, offering both simplicity and depth. Yet, simplistic interpretations of these narratives may fail to capture the moral ambiguities of real life, where knights are not always noble, rebels not always heroic, and kings not always just. On the other hand, overly figurative interpretations can stray into excessive allegory, assigning hidden meanings far removed from the story's original intent. In the end, the most meaningful approach to such narratives is one that honors their intended context while exploring deeper insights within that framework. In this volume, I aim to adopt a similarly balanced approach to the study of spiritual beings. By respecting both the literal and figurative dimensions of these topics, I hope to illuminate their richness without veering into reductionism or abstraction. While perfection in this endeavor may be unattainable, my commitment is to provide a thoughtful and nuanced perspective that does justice to the complexity of spirit and its role in human life.